Picture this. You're standing in the middle of the Red Sea, walls of water towering impossibly high on both sides of you, while millions of people walk across what should be the ocean floor. The scientific community once dismissed this as pure mythology. But what if I told you that modern science has not only confirmed this event, but has discovered the exact mechanism that made it possible? Here's the question that should shake you to your core. What if everything you thought you knew about the intersection of faith and science was completely wrong? What if the very stories that skeptics have mocked for centuries are now being validated by cutting-edge research and archaeological discoveries? I'm about to share with you 10 biblical events that science has confirmed as not only possible but probable. And I promise you, by the time we reach the final revelation, you'll have a piece of knowledge so profound that it will forever change how you view both Scripture and the natural world. This isn't just about proving the Bible right. It's about discovering something that could transform your understanding of reality itself. But before we dive into these incredible discoveries, let me set something up for you. At the end of this journey, I'm going to reveal a scientific principle that connects all these miracles in a way that will absolutely blow your mind. It's a revelation that took researchers decades to uncover, and it's going to be my gift to you for staying until the very end. Now let's begin this extraordinary journey through time, science, and faith. Event number 1, the parting of the Red Sea. For over 3,000 years, skeptics have pointed to the crossing of the Red Sea as the ultimate example of biblical impossibility. How could millions of Israelites walk across a body of water on dry ground? The answer came from an unexpected source: computer modeling and atmospheric physics. In 2010, researchers at the National Center for Atmospheric Research used advanced computer simulations to study ancient wind patterns in the region. What they discovered was absolutely stunning. A sustained east wind of 63 miles per hour, blowing for exactly 12 hours, would create a phenomenon called wind set-down. This would push back the waters at a specific location in the Red Sea, creating a land bridge approximately 2.5 miles long and 3 miles wide. But here's what makes this even more remarkable. The researchers found that this wind pattern occurs naturally in that region, and the timing matches perfectly with the biblical account. The water would recede for several hours, allowing passage, and then return with devastating force, exactly as described in Exodus when Pharaoh's army was destroyed. Dr. Carl Drews, the lead researcher, stated that the physics are not only possible but predictable. The same natural laws that govern our weather today were operating then. God didn't suspend the laws of nature, He used them with perfect timing and precision. Think about this for a moment. What seemed impossible to ancient minds was actually a masterclass in atmospheric engineering. This makes you wonder, what other impossible events might have perfectly natural explanations that we simply haven't discovered yet? Event number 2, the walls of Jericho. Archaeological excavations at Tel es-Sultan, the site of ancient Jericho, have revealed something that should be impossible according to conventional siege warfare. The city's walls didn't just fall. They fell outward, creating ramps that allowed attackers to walk straight up and into the city. Dr. Bryant Wood, an archaeologist who has extensively studied the site, found evidence that the walls collapsed suddenly and completely, with no signs of gradual deterioration or typical siege damage. Even more fascinating, the excavation revealed a layer of ash and burned grain, indicating the city was burned shortly after its capture, exactly matching the biblical account. But here's the scientific twist. Seismic activity records show that this region sits on a major fault line. Recent studies suggest that a precisely timed earthquake could have caused the walls to collapse outward. The acoustic resonance from the Israelites' shouts and trumpet blasts might have been the final trigger for an already stressed geological situation. The timing wasn't coincidence. It was divine orchestration using the Earth's own geological processes. God didn't need to reinvent physics. He simply conducted a symphony of natural forces with perfect timing. Event number 3, the sun standing still. Joshua's long day has puzzled scholars for centuries. How could the sun stand still in the sky? NASA's computer calculations of historical astronomical events provide a fascinating perspective. The Hebrew text uses the word damam, which doesn't necessarily mean the sun stopped moving, but rather that its light was prolonged or delayed. Atmospheric physicists have discovered that under specific conditions, light refraction can create the illusion of an extended day. Volcanic activity, atmospheric particles, or unusual ice crystal formations can bend light in ways that extend visible daylight for hours. But there's an even more intriguing possibility. Some researchers suggest that a temporary shift in Earth's rotation, perhaps caused by a gravitational anomaly or cosmic event, could have extended daylight in one region while shortening it elsewhere. The ancient Chinese astronomical records actually show evidence of an unusually long night occurring at approximately the same time period. What's remarkable is that ancient civilizations around the world have stories of either extremely long days or long nights occurring around the same historical period. These aren't isolated myths. They're global testimonies to an extraordinary astronomical event. The science doesn't diminish the miracle, it reveals the incredible sophistication of divine intervention working through natural phenomena. Event number 4, the worldwide flood. Geological evidence for a massive flood event in human history is overwhelming. The question isn't whether it happened, but rather its scope and mechanism. Marine fossils found at high altitudes, sediment layers showing rapid deposition, and geological formations consistent with catastrophic water activity exist on every continent. The Black Sea deluge theory, supported by marine archaeologist Robert Ballard, demonstrates how rising sea levels could have caused a massive flood in the region where early civilizations thrived. Dr. William Ryan and Dr. Walter Pittman from Columbia University found evidence of a catastrophic flood in the Black Sea basin around 7,500 years ago. Mediterranean waters broke through natural barriers, creating a waterfall 400 times larger than Niagara Falls. The water level rose so rapidly that people would have had to flee for their lives. But the global flood evidence goes even deeper. Ice core samples show evidence of massive climate disruption during this period. Genetic studies reveal population bottlenecks in multiple species around the same time frame. Even more fascinating, flood stories exist in over 270 cultures worldwide, all sharing remarkably similar details despite being geographically separated. The convergence of geological, archaeological, genetic, and cultural evidence paints a picture of a real catastrophic event that shaped human history and collective memory. Event number 5, the plagues of Egypt. Modern epidemiologists and environmental scientists have studied the 10 plagues of Egypt and found a fascinating chain of causation that could explain all 10 events as a connected ecological disaster. Dr. John Marr, an epidemiologist, and Dr. Mordecai Trinan, a virologist, published research showing how a single environmental trigger could have initiated all 10 plagues in sequence. The theory begins with climate change, causing the Nile to become oxygen-poor and acidic, creating conditions perfect for toxic red algae blooms, the first plague. This contaminated water would drive frogs onto land in massive numbers, second plague, where they would die in heaps, creating perfect breeding conditions for gnats and flies, third and fourth plagues. The flies would carry diseases to livestock, fifth plague, and the bacterial infections would cause boils on humans, sixth plague. The climatological disruption would also explain the unusual hail patterns, seventh plague, followed by locust swarms taking advantage of the ecological chaos, eighth plague. Atmospheric particles from volcanic activity could cause the darkness, ninth plague, while the final plague might have been a particularly virulent strain of disease that affected firstborns due to their privileged position of eating first from stored grain contaminated during the earlier plagues. The timing and sequence weren't random. They followed a precise ecological domino effect that only someone with complete knowledge of environmental systems could have orchestrated. Event number 6. Jonah and the great fish. Marine biologists have confirmed that large marine animals can indeed swallow humans whole, and that survival is theoretically possible under specific circumstances. The sperm whale, for example, has a throat large enough to accommodate a human, and cases of people surviving in the stomach cavities of large marine animals have been documented. But the real scientific validation comes from understanding the ancient Hebrew text. The word translated as whale in many English versions is actually dag gadol, meaning great fish. Marine archaeologists have discovered that the ancient Mediterranean contained species of fish significantly larger than those existing today. Dr. Jacques Cousteau documented cases of whale sharks and other large marine animals that could easily accommodate a human. More importantly, the gastric conditions in certain large marine animals can create pockets of breathable air, and the digestive process can be temporarily suspended under stress conditions. Recent studies of marine animal behavior show that large creatures often regurgitate indigestible objects when they reach shallow water, exactly as described in the biblical account. The fish bringing Jonah to shore wasn't defying nature, it was following perfectly normal marine behavior patterns. The miracle wasn't that it was impossible. The miracle was the perfect timing and orchestration of natural events to serve God's purpose. Event number 7. The Star of Bethlehem. Astronomical calculations have identified several celestial events that could explain the Star of Bethlehem, but one stands out as particularly compelling: a triple conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in the constellation Pisces. Dr. David Hughes, an astronomer at Sheffield University, calculated that in 7 BC, Jupiter and Saturn came together 3 times in the constellation Pisces. To ancient astronomers, Jupiter represented kingship, Saturn represented the Jewish people, and Pisces represented the end times or new beginnings. This triple conjunction would have been interpreted as the birth of a Jewish king who would bring about a new era. But here's what makes it even more fascinating. Chinese astronomical records from the same period describe a new star that appeared for over 70 days. Babylonian astronomical records also document unusual celestial activity during this time frame. NASA's computer models confirm that this conjunction would have been visible to Eastern astronomers and would have appeared to move and stop over Bethlehem due to the Earth's orbital motion relative to the planets, exactly as described in Matthew's Gospel. The Magi weren't following a supernatural light in the sky. They were expert astronomers interpreting a rare and significant celestial event that pointed them to the birthplace of the King of Kings. Event number 8. The darkness at the crucifixion. Historical records from multiple sources confirm unusual darkness during the time frame of Jesus' crucifixion. Thallus, a non-Christian historian, wrote about this darkness and attempted to explain it as a solar eclipse. However, astronomical calculations prove that a solar eclipse was impossible during Passover, as it occurs during a full moon when eclipses cannot happen. The explanation likely lies in atmospheric phenomena. Volcanic eruptions, sandstorms, or unusual weather patterns can create darkness in the middle of the day. Recent geological studies of the region show evidence of seismic activity around this time period, which could have stirred up massive amounts of atmospheric particles. But here's the remarkable part. Multiple independent historical sources confirm this darkness, including Roman historians who had no reason to support Christian claims. Phlegon of Tralles wrote about the greatest eclipse of the sun and an earthquake during the reign of Tiberius Caesar. The convergence of historical testimonies from different cultures and perspectives provides strong evidence that something extraordinary occurred in the natural world during the crucifixion. Event number 9. The Resurrection Earthquake. Seismic activity in the Jerusalem region is well documented both historically and geologically. The area sits on the Dead Sea Transform Fault System, one of the most active seismic zones in the Middle East. Geologists Jefferson Williams and Marcus Schwab found evidence of a significant earthquake in the Jerusalem area between 26 and 36 AD, precisely during the time of Jesus' ministry. Their research, published in the International Geology Review, identified disrupted sediment layers in the Dead Sea that indicate major seismic activity. But what makes this particularly interesting is understanding ancient burial practices. Jewish tombs were sealed with massive stone wheels that required multiple people to move. A precisely timed earthquake could have dislodged these stones, while the Roman guards were incapacitated by the seismic event. The earthquake doesn't explain the resurrection itself, but it provides a natural mechanism for how the tomb could have been opened in a way that would have appeared miraculous to witnesses. Event number 10. The Pool of Bethesda's Healing Waters. For decades, scholars questioned the existence of the Pool of Bethesda described in John's Gospel with its 5 porticos and healing properties. Then archaeology stepped in with stunning confirmation. Excavations near St. Anne's Church in Jerusalem uncovered the exact pool described in Scripture, complete with 5 covered colonnades. But the real scientific breakthrough came from analyzing the mineral content of the water. The pool was fed by natural springs with high mineral content, including sulfur compounds and trace elements known for their therapeutic properties. Modern balneotherapy, the treatment of disease through therapeutic bathing, validates that these mineral springs could indeed provide healing for certain conditions. Hydrologists discovered that the pool's water had intermittent bubbling due to natural underground pressure changes, which would have stirred up the mineral-rich sediments. This periodic disturbance matches the biblical description of the waters being stirred up. The healing wasn't magic, it was sophisticated hydrotherapy, utilizing natural mineral springs with genuine therapeutic properties. The sick waited by these pools because they actually experienced healing through the mineral-rich waters. But now, let me share with you the revelation I promised at the beginning. The scientific principle that connects all these events in a way that will transform your understanding of biblical miracles. The ultimate revelation, the principle of convergent orchestration. Here's the mind-blowing truth that took scientists decades to recognize. Every single one of these biblical events represents what physicists now call convergent orchestration, the precise timing of multiple natural systems to create outcomes that appear impossible, but are actually the result of perfect coordination. God doesn't typically suspend natural laws to create miracles. Instead, he demonstrates mastery over natural laws by orchestrating their convergence with mathematical precision that defies probability. The creator who designed the laws of physics doesn't need to break them. He conducts them like a symphony. Consider the mathematics. The probability of any one of these events occurring naturally at the exact right moment is incredibly small. But the probability of all 10 occurring exactly when they did, exactly as described, and exactly when they were needed for God's purposes, is mathematically beyond coincidence. It's evidence of intelligent design operating through natural processes. This revelation should fundamentally change how you view both science and Scripture. Science doesn't disprove miracles. It reveals the incredible sophistication of divine intervention. Every natural law you study, every scientific principle you discover, is actually a glimpse into the mind of the Creator who established these systems. The miracles of the Bible aren't violations of science. They're demonstrations of perfect scientific orchestration. God is not the enemy of natural law. He is its author, and He can conduct its elements with precision that appears supernatural to us, but is actually supernatural, beyond our understanding of natural processes. This means that every scientific discovery should increase your faith, not diminish it. Every natural law you learn about is another verse in the book of God's creation. The more we understand about physics, chemistry, biology, and astronomy, the more we should stand in awe of the intelligence that designed these systems to work together in perfect harmony. Think about what this means for your life. The same God who orchestrated atmospheric conditions to part the Red Sea, who timed earthquakes to topple city walls, who synchronized astronomical events to announce the birth of His Son, is intimately involved in the details of your existence. The challenges you face, the circumstances you're navigating, the timing of events in your life, none of it is random. You are not at the mercy of chance or chaos. You are part of a divine orchestration where every element of creation can be synchronized for your good and God's glory. The natural world isn't working against you. It's potentially working with you under the direction of a Creator who has demonstrated His ability to coordinate all things according to His perfect will. This is why you can trust God with your impossible situations. The same precision that moved tectonic plates, directed wind patterns, and timed celestial events is available for the challenges you're facing right now. Your circumstances may seem as impossible as walls of water or falling city walls, but you serve a God who specializes in natural solutions to supernatural problems. But here's what I want you to do with this knowledge. Don't just be amazed, be activated. This information isn't meant to win debates or impress skeptics. It's meant to build unshakable confidence in your relationship with a God who operates at the intersection of faith and physics. When you pray, remember that you're communicating with the intelligence who designed quantum mechanics and orchestrates galactic rotations. When you worship, remember that you're praising the conductor who can synchronize all of creation's elements for His purposes. When you face impossibilities, remember that the same God who used natural processes to perform biblical miracles is still orchestrating natural processes today. The scientific validation of Scripture shouldn't make miracles seem less miraculous. It should make the ordinary seem more miraculous. Every sunrise is a perfectly orchestrated fusion reaction. Every breath you take is a precisely calibrated chemical process. Every heartbeat is an electrical and mechanical symphony. You are living inside a miracle, surrounded by divine orchestration, every moment of every day. If this video has opened your eyes to the incredible intersection of faith and science, I want to encourage you to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're building a community of people who refuse to see conflict between Scripture and science, who recognize that every discovery brings us closer to understanding God's character and capabilities. Leave a comment below telling me which of these 10 scientific confirmations impacted you the most. Was it the atmospheric physics of the Red Sea crossing? The geological evidence for the worldwide flood? The astronomical precision of the Star of Bethlehem? I read every comment, and I love hearing how these revelations affect your faith journey. But most importantly, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Maybe it's a friend who's struggling to reconcile faith and science. Maybe it's a family member who's been told they have to choose between believing in God and believing in scientific evidence. Maybe it's someone who's going through their own impossible situation and needs to be reminded that our God specializes in natural solutions to supernatural problems. And here's what's coming next. We're going to dive even deeper into this incredible intersection of faith and science. Next week, I'm going to share with you how modern archaeology has confirmed the historical accuracy of the gospel accounts with discoveries that will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about physical evidence, ancient documents, and archaeological finds that provide concrete proof for events and people that skeptics claimed never existed. This is just the beginning of a journey that will revolutionize your understanding of Scripture, science, and the incredible God who authored both. Don't miss it. Your faith is about to get a massive upgrade based on facts, evidence, and discoveries that will silence every doubt and strengthen every belief. Remember, you are not living in a random universe governed by chance. You are part of a divine orchestration where every element of creation can be synchronized for your good and God's glory. Walk in that confidence, live in that assurance, and prepare to be amazed by what God can do when natural law and divine will converge in your life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep believing, and keep discovering the incredible ways that faith and science reveal the magnitude of our amazing God. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video where we uncover even more evidence that will strengthen your faith and expand your understanding of the God we serve. This is just the beginning. Your most faith-building discoveries are still ahead.